So, hi everyone, welcome to this Drupal AI webinar series, where we're trying to create awareness about AI enablement within the Drupal ecosystem. Uh, this is the fourth webinar in the series. We have primarily spoken about foundational elements in the Drupal AI ecosystem as a part of previous webinars. We've looked at how you can build RAG applications within Drupal, how you can connect your RAG applications with AI agents as tools and make them work together towards a bigger goal. Today's topic it's focused on building smart automations with a very powerful module, ECA. ECA stands for Events, Conditions, and Actions. And for those of you who are coming back from Drupal 7 background, you might already be aware of Rules module. ECA came into being as sort of a replacement for rules module, but also with a lot of goodies along with it. We'll take a look at what that means. But if I had to talk a little bit about the history of ECA module, how it came into being, there's a very interesting story. There was a migration being conducted from Drupal 7 to Drupal 9, where the Drupal 7 site had a lot of rules built in it, and practically there was no way you could hard code all of these modules as custom modules within Drupal 9. That's where a bunch of folks decided to build a new rule engine in Drupal 9 called as ECA. What you get along with ECA is a way to visually build workflows within Drupal. We would see soon what that means actually in action. For those who are joining for the first time this webinar series, I'll quickly introduce you to the event Oasis, which is basically happening on 29th and 30th November in Pune. This Drupal AI webinar series we're conducting as a precursor to that event because we're also looking at hosting a Drupal AI code sprint within Oasis 2025. We're going to have Jamie, Marcus, Shivan from the Drupal AI ecosystem join us at the event and support you building or stabilizing and building more applications or more features on top of Drupal AI ecosystem. With us today, we have Akhil, who has been a long-time contributor to the Drupal AI ecosystem. Today, he works very closely with Canvas AI, which is one of the important features in the AI ecosystem and in the low-code space, wherein we're looking at being able to build pages via prompts. Pretty interesting concept. Akhil also is a co-maintainer of AI agents module, which is something that we browsed through in the previous conversation. What I would do is I'll hand it over to Akhil and let him take it over from here. Akhil, over to you.
Thanks, Piyush. I hope my audio is clear.
Yeah, we can hear you clear.
Okay. Thank you all for joining our fourth webinar on the Drupal AI Foundation series. And over the last three webinars, we discussed around various submodules of AI as well as some other modules that are part of the AI ecosystem. We discussed the modules, how to generate content with AI, how to build semantic search, or if you have a traditional keyword-based search, how to enhance it with AI to behave so that it behaves like a semantic search. How to create AI agents, assistants, chatbots, all these things. And in today's session, we'll be focusing on ECA module. And if you haven't heard about ECA, Piyush has already given a brief history of it. ECA stands for Events, Conditions, and Action. And as Piyush mentioned, it's a no-code visual workflow builder tool for Drupal. Then what is this visual workflow? Let's say you have a requirement, you are integrating an API to your site, and this API exposes some news data, and this news data gets refreshed every day at 2 p.m. And your task is to get the latest news data for each day and create it as a node in your site. So as a developer, how you would implement it? You will most probably write a new custom module, add a cron hook, and within the cron hook, do some conditions to check if the news has been updated or if it's been 2 p.m. yet, and then if the condition is satisfied, then fetch the data from the API and save it, create nodes, right? So all this would require a lot of custom coding. And the problem with custom coding is it's harder to maintain. And that's exactly what ECA solves. It gives us a user interface to build these kind of workflows. And as Piyush mentioned, previously we had similar functionality in Drupal 7, which was provided by the rules module. And now this ECA is a successor to rules module because with Drupal 8, the rules module was not compatible enough to with the Drupal 8 version and its architecture. So that led to the eventual development of ECA. And now let's go have a look at what events are. Event is the starting point of a workflow. And let's say a page gets created or a form gets submitted, a user logs in. These kind of things are events, and ECA supports all the major Drupal events fired by Drupal. And when you build the workflow visually, the event is represented by a circle in the BPM and IO modeler. Then there is condition. Condition is actually the criteria that we check before executing something. So an event happens, then when should we act upon that event? So that criteria is defined as condition. Condition can be like if user has a specific permission, or if the entity has a particular, if a field is empty, or if a field has a particular value. These kind of things become conditions, and a condition will be represented by an arrow in the BPM and IO modeler. And then there is action. Action is the actual task that gets performed when the condition is met. So actions can be like creating a node, sending an email, publishing a content, or triggering a validation error, or even so now with AI and all, we can have more complex actions like generating a content with AI and updating it, or validating the page or node being saved with AI. These kind of things are known as actions, and actions are represented by the rounded rectangle symbol. And then what is this BPM and IO modeler? A modeler is essentially what gives a UI to ECA. Think of it like field UI. If you want to add new fields or rearrange the fields, we typically install the field UI module, right? In the same way, if a modeler is something that provides this UI to build these workflows, ECA will work without the modeler. So if there are some workflows already created, you don't need to enable this modeler at all if you don't want to see this workflow, see or edit this workflow. So modeler is like a UI. The modeler brings a UI to ECA, and the most popular modeler for ECA is this BPM.io modeler. Previously, ECA, this came as a submodule of ECA. So, but now it's available as a separate concrete module, and ECA is now capable enough to integrate any modelers. If you have been following the last Dries node, you might have heard about a module called Flow Drop, which is again a new Svelte UI based workflow builder that is being built for Drupal. And there is a chance that eventually the UI for Flow Drop, that same UI might become a modeler for ECA. And if you need to, if you would like to know more about Flow Drop or would like to contribute, the creator of Flow Drop module would be there at Oasis event, so that you will be also, if you would like to get involved, that this would be a perfect opportunity for you. And this bpmn.io is available as a contrib module, so this needs to be installed separately. Then how does ECA work? So under the hood, ECA is just a processor, and whenever an event happens, ECA basically looks for all the models that subscribe to this particular event, or that have this event enabled, and then it executes the condition. It checks the conditions and executes these actions. And whenever we create ECA models, these are stored as config entity, so they can be easily exported and imported on other environments. And there is even an even better way is to export a model as recipe. There is an export to recipe action already available, which lets you to easily convert a model to recipe and publish it on Drupal.org, or because now just the Now, just like modules, recipes are now becoming a way to adding new features to the site. And then let's say you want to build a workflow where at the end, if something happens, you need to send a notification in Slack. And when you check the ECA module, it doesn't come with such an action to integrate with Slack. You can easily build it. You can easily create this plugin because the events, conditions, and actions, all these are built as plugins. So if there is an action you want to create, you will be able to create it so very easily as these are plugins. This is what makes ECA more extensible. And then how to install ECA? To install ECA, just simply get the ECA core module, and then to build the UI, get the bpmn.io modeler, and install ECA UI, and bpm.io modules. That's it. And that was all. Some background and theory we should be aware of before getting started with ECA. And if you wish to build workflows and if you need to use ECA, the documentation of ECA is very detailed, and there are a lot of videos also available in YouTube and other platforms that shows how these workflows can be created. There is also a Slack channel available for ECA, and the maintainer is very supportive there as well. So you can use these platforms to get help. And with that, let's start building some workflows. And here I have a Drupal 11 site. And if you were there in the last session, we created an AI assistant that can add recipes to our site, right? And I have 4 recipes added by AI here, and all these recipes are in unpublished state. And all these recipes are currently in the review state. And then I have also created a view here for these AI generated recipes that lists all the recipes in a particular page. Recipes. So this is the dashboard that lists all the available AI generated recipes. Now in my site, I have a reviewer role, and there are some users available with this role reviewer. Now what I want to do is, when a user logs in, if the user has content reviewer role, then that user should get automatically redirected to the recipes dashboard that lists these AI generated recipes. And in this case, what will be the event? The user login will be the event. Condition is the login user should have content reviewer role, and the action is redirect to a URL, which is the URL of the dashboard. Now let's implement this with ECA. So I'll start by enabling the required modules. So we need the ECA core module. Then we need the modeler, BPMN modeler, BPMN IO modeler, and ECA UI as well. I'm going to install these 3 modules. Okay, now that the module is installed, if we go to configuration, workflow, ECA, you will get landed to the ECA settings. So the ECA UI module is required to get this config option. Otherwise, you won't be able to see this section. And there is an import section here, which lets to import the ECAs that is created and archived. And then there are some settings available to set the error level, and then some other permissions as well. But these are not important for this session. Then the log session lists various logs related to ECA. Let's go to the model section and start by adding a new model. So I am using ECA here with Claro theme. So with Claro theme, the ECA UI is not that great. It works. The recommended UI for ECA is Gin theme. But anyway, for this session, Claro theme should be sufficient. First, let's start by giving a name to our model. So to add a name, just click on this icon here, and I'm going to give the name as redirect reviewers or users. And there is no save button or anything. Just click, just close this. This will get automatically saved. And the starting point of ECA is an event. Event is represented by a circle. So drag a circle and place it here. But now when I click on it, I don't see any list of events that are happening because we need to enable the corresponding ECA submodule that will be triggering these events. So in this case, it will be ECA user. So I will enable ECA user and some other modules as well that are required for the session. We need ECA content, ECA base, and yeah, that's it for now. So I'm enabling all these three modules. Uh, Now the modules have been enabled, and if I add the event here, I get this drop down with various events provided by all these modules. So our event in consideration is user login. So search for user, we get this login of a user event, and then once the user logs in, what needs to happen? They should be redirected. So we need to add an action. Action is represented by a square, a rounded rectangle, and this is the condition. So the action is redirect to URLs, and here we can give the URL, which will be AI generated recipes, right? So admin content AI generated recipes. Now the condition. So this will, if I save this, this will trigger for all the users, even the admin users. But we need this to trigger only for editors. So that needs to be added as a condition. Click on this arrow and search for role of the user. We have role of user and role of current user. Both would work, but I'm selecting role of the user. And now we need to give a token. So it's like when building the workflows, we need to think like a programmer. So if you were to do this programmatically, how you would do it? You will first, when the user logins, you will first get the user entity and you will store it in a variable, right? And then you will programmatically check if that particular user has a role. So in the same way, when an event happens, the entity that triggered the event will be stored in tokens in ECA, and the tokens will be listed here. And I can see from the documentation of the login event, the account token has the user account that triggered the event. So I will be using this token, and this needs to be added as token in the condition. And now within the condition, we are linking the login user and we are checking if this particular user has reviewer role. And that's it. Save the model and let's document this as well. User is user. Okay. And let's test if this is working or not. I'm going to, for some reason, Google Meet doesn't allow me to share the complete screen. So I have to log out from here first to log in as an editor. So log out, log in. So I'm logging as a user with reviewer role, and you can see the user immediately got redirected to AI generated recipes page. And if I log out and log in as admin, the workflow is not triggered. I am staying in the user dashboard. Great. Now this works, but there is a problem. Let's say my editor, my reviewer forgot their password. So what they will do is they will generate the one-time login link, right? So let's see what happens when I access this site with the one-time login link for this user. So I'm just generating the login link with Drush. I have generated the one-time login link. Here you can see, but still I got redirected to the dashboard. If you have used this one-time login link, it takes that to the profile section, and we won't be required to input the current password. But now we got redirected to the other page. The current password field is there, so user won't be able to reset their password. So within our model, we need to add one more condition to prevent the action from being executed when the user is logging in using the password reset link. And for that, what we can do is we can check the current URL of the page. And if the current URL of the page contains the URL for password reset, then this model should not get triggered. For that, I'll just log out again and log in as admin. Come back to my model. add a second condition. So to add one, so this time the condition should work as an AND block, right? So to add an AND condition, we have two ways currently available within the action. So I'm going to place an action block here, and there is an action available called chain action for AND action. This basically just helps to create an AND condition where like the first condition should be met first, and then the second one should be met. And if we have to combine multiple conditions similar, we can add this item multiple times. So if the role of the user is editor, and then the second condition would be if the URL does not contain the URL for password reset. So I'm joining these two, and in the second condition, search for, and there is no out of the box, there is no condition to check URL or link or route or something. There is an action available for route. But if you want to compare values like this, if a particular value is this, so for those kind of things, we have this compare to scalar values option. So I'm going to add this condition, and then for this condition, the first value and second value. The second value will be the URL, the pattern, right? So if the pattern contains /user/reset, I'm changing the operator to contains. If it contains user/reset, then what should be the first value? First value should be the URL. But we can't hard code that, right? How will we get the current URL? For that, we can use tokens. So I have enabled tokens module in this side. And if we go to help and token, let's see what all tokens are available for the current page. So for current page, I need to get the path of the current page. So current page, we have the token for current page URL, and within that URL, we get this token, current page URL path. So we can use any tokens with any available token in these conditions and actions, and even in we can use tokens mainly in conditions and actions. So any token can be used here. So I'm going to use the current URL path as the first value, and if the current URL contains this, then this should not trigger. So we should actually negate this condition, and that's it. Save it here. Just document that current page is not password reset, not page URL. This documentation is important because anyone looking at your workflow would be able to understand what happens without opening each of these sections and seeing what is configured here. Save it. It is now saved. Let's see if it works or not. I'll log out from here again and log in with the ULI. And now when I reset the password, I'm directly landing in the password reset password reset form, right? And if I log out again and log in with the actual username, then I should be redirected to the AI generator recipes page. So that was our first workflow, redirecting users depending upon their role. Let me just log out again and log in as admin. So I hope the first workflow was clear to everyone. And just to make it more nice, I'll just use this option and just drag these things here, save it. Okay. So I hope it was clear. It is self-explanatory. Event, check the role and check the URL and perform the action. Now let's start building another action. For all these AI generated content, I have a feedbacks field here. So when an admin can give feedbacks about the summary, so all the recipes in Drupal Umami profile get this summary field. So an admin can give some feedbacks on this summary, and they can assign this node to an existing editor so that the editor can come back and update this summary based on this feedback, or the admin can use AI. So in our second scenario, what we are going to do is whenever the admin saves this page by adding a feedback and assigning an editor, this editor user should get an email notification saying that this particular recipe has been assigned to you by the admin. So let's see how that can be implemented. So this is our second use case. Send an email to editor when the admin adds feedback and assigns the recipe to them. So to extract the events, conditions, and actions, we can expand this and elaborate this a little bit. When an admin saves a node, if the feedback field is not empty and an editor is selected in the assign to editor field, send an email to that editor. So what is the event? Node save. Recipe node gets saved. What are the conditions? The current user is admin. Then the feedback field is not empty and assigned to editor field, a particular editor is selected in that assigned to editor field. And what is the action? Extract the editor entity, get their email address, and send an email to that editor. That's it. Let's start implementing that. So I will start by creating a new workflow. Let's go to configuration ECA, add a new model, and for the event, I'm going to use pre-save entity. So all the hooks related to entity like pre-save, update, insert, these things will be available as events. And the entity type is recipe. And I can access this entity anywhere in my flow using this token. So it's like the entity is stored in an entity variable. So this is the variable that holds the entity, so which I can use in any of the actions or conditions that I'm adding here. Okay, so when a recipe node gets saved, first, let's say I'm going to print a message, display a message that entity. I'm going to use the token here. So node has that. If you want to print the title field, we use node colon title, right? That same thing can be done here. So entity title is saved. Click on this replace token. So this is a simple workflow. Just I added this message to test if my workflow is getting triggered or not. So let's try saving this recipe. There are no conditions, so I'm expecting to see a message. See, availability is saved. So this is getting triggered. Now let's start adding the conditions one by one. The first condition is that the feedbacks field of this particular recipe is not empty. To check if a field is not empty or not, we have a condition available. Entity field value is empty. Here we need to give the machine name of the field. For that, just go to structure, content types, recipe fields, and get the feedback field. It's here. So the machine name is field feedbacks. And so this condition checks entity field value is empty. So we need the workflow to be triggered if the value is not empty. So this negates this condition, and we are checking the entity, which is the token provided by this event. Save it. And so I'm going to change the label as feedbacks exist. First condition is that. For now, just delete this and add the second condition. So it should be an AND, right? So first condition followed by an AND operator. So chain AND. Just change this label as AND. Okay. Now the second one. Second condition is the assigned to editor field is not empty. The same thing. So not empty. You get the empty field value is empty condition. Field name is assigned to editor. Negate this because we need to check if it is not empty. Then what is the action that needs to be triggered? The mail should be sent to the editor selected here. So we need to load the editor value from this field. That should be the next action. So for that, we have this entity. There is this field, get field value action available, which lets to get the value from any particular field. The field name will be assigned to editor, name of the token. So the output, it's like, again, it's like coding. So within a pre-save hook, we first check if the fields are empty. Then we load the value to a particular variable. So I'm going to load it to the user variable. what the value from the assign to editor field. Select the entity here, save, and then let's debug this. Print a message to the user that user is selected. Let's print the value. So the output of this load operation will be stored in the user variable. So I'm going to use this user variable here and replace tokens. And what should happen is if the field is filled and the field is not empty, load the editor and that should be printed. Let's see if it works. I'm going to save this without adding any editor details. Nothing is printed. Let's try adding an editor, this one, but keeping the feedback field empty. Again, nothing is printed. Works as expected. Now an editor is selected. Let me add a value here and save it. See, now all the conditions are met and it is actually giving me the ID of the user. And ECA is very intelligent. If the field value that we load from here is an entity reference field, it actually gives us the entity. That means if you look at the available tokens, let me go to the token page once more. Help token and go to the user specific tokens. So if we have the user entity, to get the user email, we can use this user mail token. So what I can do is I can use the same token here, user selected user mail, and let's see what happens. Again, come back here, edit the recipe, save it, and I can see the mail is extracted from the user. So now, but now there is a problem because this gets triggered every time, right? So every time I save the page, if the editor is selected and feedback is there, this will get triggered. So if I add the mail action, then this mail will get triggered all the time this recipe gets saved. We don't need to do that. We only want to trigger the mail when the editor changes. So to check if the field value is changed or not, there is another condition available called change field value. So field value changed. So this checks if the field value was changed or not, and if the field value, we need to display the message only if the editor was changed. So give the fields machine name here, entity here, and save it. And let's try editing the content once more. So I'm going to directly save it. The editor is selected, feedback is selected, save it. The message is not printed. Great, but if I change the editor to another user, save it, now we get the message. Then if I save this again without changing the editor, message is not printed. So it's working as expected. But our task is not to display a message here. Our task is to send an email to the user, right? So we already know that if we use this token, we get the user email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another action. So there is already an action available to send a mail, send email. So just change it to send email. And for the send email action, the email address is available in the user token. Subject, a recipe has been assigned to you. And in the message, we can use all the tokens related to user here. So hi, I need to show the user's name. So user display name token can be added. The recipe's title. So within the pre-save, the entity is available in the entity token. And the title can be accessed using entity full colon title. The recipe has been assigned to you. Check it here. And I need to give the URL to the recipe as well. So let's see the token for URL. So for a node, to get the URL, we have title URL. Yeah. So to get the URL, we have this node absolute URL option here. I'll paste it here and replace this node with entity because that's the token name that we get from here. Thanks. Click replace tokens. save it. And let me just open the mail server as well. Okay, now let's see. I'm going to edit this recipe, change the editor to another user so that it gets triggered, save it. And here I can see the mail got triggered. Hi, the editor name is here, the recipe title is here, and the URL is also here. And that was our second workflow. Look how easy it is. Like once, and if we properly document it, anyone, even as a non-technical user, would be able to understand what's happening in this flow. And it's also very easy to maintain these things rather than maintaining this in custom code. And then let's have a look at the third flow. So the third flow is, if the admin decides to admin check this use AI option, what should happen is the current summary and the feedbacks here should get sent to an AI model, and AI should update the summary based on the admin's feedback, and that updated summary should get saved in the summary field. Okay, so let's have a detailed look at it. So when the user saves the recipe, if the feedback field is not empty, assign to editor field is empty, and if the use AI option is selected, generate an improved summary using AI. So the event is not saved, conditions are no type is recipe, feedback field is not empty, assign to editor field is empty, and use AI field is checked. Action is generate a new summary with AI, save it to the summary field. Let's start building that. So I'm going to use the same workflow here. So here, if this first condition already checks if the feedback field is present or not, if the feedback field is empty or not, then what we need to check is if the so here we need to check if the use AI option is checked or not. So let's add another condition here. I'm going to add this AND block here and join this from here to here. So if the feedback exists, and the second condition is use AI field is checked. For that, I'm going to use the compare to scalar values field itself. Instead of checking if the field value is empty, or let's try checking if the field value. I'm not sure how that works with the Boolean field, but let's do that on the fly. So just remove this condition, add this condition, and here, okay, I'm going to add this action. I'm going to print a message, display a message to the user saying that assigned to AI. And from here, I'm going to connect this and check field value is empty. The field we need to check is field use AI. And the entity in consideration is this entity. And we are checking if it is not empty. So here, use AI is selected. That should be the documentation for that. So if the feedback field exists and use AI is selected, display a message. Just to ensure that if this works with the is empty condition. If it doesn't work, we can use any other the compare to scalar values condition. So just reload the page. First, check this use AI field and save it. See that my message is not getting printed. It means we cannot use this particular condition to check if the Boolean field was filled or not. What we can use is we can use tokens, just like how we did for the first condition, where we compared the current page's path with another value. In the same way, since this is a Boolean field, if this is filled, value will be 1. If it is not filled, value will be 0, right? And then how can I access the value of this field? I can use tokens. If I go to the tokens for the node and search the token for the use AI field. So here we have, so this is the use AI field, and this token field use AI value will give me the value of that particular field. So delete this condition. I'm going to delete this and add a new condition. This time I'm going to use compare to scalar values operation. First value comes from the field, which is going to be entity field use AI value. And if that equals 1, then it means the checkbox is checked. Let's see if this works or not. So now if I save, it should actually display the message that assigned to AI is checked. Let's see if that works. Save. Yeah, assigned to AI is now getting printed, right? If I uncheck this, there is no message. So I'm just showing this to you. You can also understand how to debug these things when things are not working. This display a message is one option. We can also use the logging settings in ECA to get detailed log of each conditions and actions what are happening during each steps. But now this works. So here, if use AI is selected, now we don't need to display a message. What needs to happen is we need to send the current summary and user feedbacks to the LLM, right? For that, we need an action that lets us communicate, send a request to the LLM. And out of the box, it is not available with ECA module, but there is a sub-module available called AI ECA integration. ECA AI. Yeah, AI integration ECA. So this is a separate contrib module. This module gives us some actions that lets us generate embeddings, convert speech to text, get a normal request to the LLM and get a chat response, these kind of things. So I'm going to enable it, save it. The module, while the module is getting installed, let's reload this and add an action here. And here I can see from the AI ECA module, we get these much actions: chat, embeddings, moderation, all these things. I'm going to use the chat operation. For the chat, I'll be using GPT 4.1 mini model. And the output of the AI call, so whatever response we get from AI, that should be stored in a token. So I'm going to give this token. So we can use any name here. It's again like saving the result in a variable. So I'm going to use the AI updated summary value as the output. Then within the system prompt, I'll say update the summary of a recipe based on the user feedback. Respond back with only the summary. We don't want it like, sure, here is the updated summary. Do you need anything else? We don't need these kind of responses. So that's why I'm adding update return with the response should only contain the updated summary. Now, recipe title is, since we are still we start from the pre-save hook, I can use entity title token here, which will get replaced with the actual title. Then current summary. Let me go to this tokens field. This is the, can get the token value. So node field summary value. This particular token gives me the summary fields value. I'll just replace this node with entity. Actually, it works with node as well, but we can stick with entity. And then feedback. So AI should be able to see the feedback as well, right? So it should see the current summary. Title is just to give some extra context on what this recipe is. And then it should see the feedback as well. So feedbacks. For feedbacks, we can use the same token. So here, search for feedback. To get the feedback text, we can use this token. Again, replace node with entity. Okay, that's it. And the results will be stored in a updated summary. So I'm going to connect this one, this condition to here, chat, and from chat, display a message to the user. And as I'm going to, so we have the output, the chat output will be available in this particular token called a updated summary. So I'm going to print a message that response from AI is this. Now, what I'm expecting to happen is it sends the request to LLM, and when the page gets saved, it sends the request to agent, gets the response, and that response gets printed as a message. Let's see if that works.
Actually, you haven't checked the replace token in the message.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Anand. So yeah, this is now checked. Edit it. We have some feedbacks. I'm going to say rewrite it like a LinkedIn post caption. So this is my feedback. Rewrite the existing summary like a LinkedIn post caption and save it. Use AI is selected here. Now it's taking some time to save, which is a good indicator. Yeah, the response was sent to the agent. AI gave us response with this hashtags and all, just like how it works with the LinkedIn caption, right? So since since we have verified that this is working, and we can even verify the previous thing. If this is not checked, no AI request will be made. It will get directly saved. Since this is working, let's save the field value to the entity because we need to store it to the entity, right? So that's the next action. We get the response that should be stored in the summary field. So save field value or store field value. There is an set field value is there. Okay, this is the wrong one. This is set field widget value. Field entity set field value. So this is the option we need to use. There are multiple options: set and clear the value or append the value. So here for this, we can clear the existing value and add the new value. Strip tags. Then field name is field summary. Right. So this field summary. Then field value. What will be the field value? Field value is given by a updated summary token because that's where the value is stored. So give it as a token. And there is the save entity and the entity is this. There is a save entity option. Since we are working on a pre-save hook, it gets triggered while the entity is getting saved, right? So we don't need to enable save entity because then it will cause recursion. Whereas if we started from an insert hook or update hook to save the field value, we should set the save entity option. So save it, select the entity. So uncheck the save entity option and save this here and join this condition to this. Let me just organize this a little bit. Okay. Just rearranging these things. And now we don't need this display message action anymore. Get the chart result and save it. We can maybe add one more condition, like if the response is not empty, then only set the value. But to keep this simple, I'm not adding any action. Let's edit it again. Going to save with the same feedbacks and take a look at the existing summary and edit the recipe again and see it's now replaced with the AI generated summary. And this just to keep things clear, if once the AI generated summary is added to the field, I want to uncheck this option. So for that, I can use another action, again set field value only, and set the value of that Boolean field to 0 to uncheck it. So set field value, and the field name is field use AI, just so that I won't trigger a request again and again accidentally when I save this. So field name should be this one, and field value should be 0. Here I can hardcode the value because it's a Boolean field. And entity is this entity. Save it and connect this here. Save it, and let's see. With lot of emojis. Edit. Yeah, now it uses a lot of emojis, and use AI option is also unchecked. And that was our final demo. I hope it was clear, but if any of you have any questions, we can discuss now.
Yeah, thank you, Akhil. That was very insightful. And yeah, I think we were covering a couple of use cases here just to showcase what's feasible with the ECA module. modular API and BPM and IO. But there are other modelers available as well. Also, the limit of building with ECA would span across how better you can design your business logic. So if you're able to write your business logic very clearly, you would be able to model this with ECA. The module ecosystem provides works on the concept of plugin architecture, which means that if you need more events, more conditions, more actions, all you can build using custom plugins. So very flexible, I would say, worth a try. Allows Converts the entire business logic building experience from custom module to config entities and into a visual workflow builder with someone with a site building experience can manage. Also, someone who's experienced working with these visual tools can go ahead and build the business workflows themselves. Are there any AI integrations to create ECA models itself? I don't think there's one, Hemant, yet, but good one to go ahead and build, because what you can technically do is give it your business logic, let it go ahead and look at possible plugins which are available in the ecosystem. If not, create a plugin around it and in the end generate a config entity, because ECAs are config entities in the end. That's how it's stored in Drupal. BPM, the visual workflow builder which we're looking at, it's just a thin front end allowing you to visualize and build it without diving into code. It's very similar to how you would differentiate between field module and field UI module within Drupal. You can still have your entities with fields created within Drupal without even enabling field UI module programmatically. It's very similar to that analogy, is what I would say.
And adding to that, Hemant, the AI integration ECA module, the one we demoed in the last one, that comes with some agents, but it's not up to date. So currently agents are configuration based, but in the earlier version of AI agents, those were plugin based. So there are some AI agents available, but it's not up to date, and I haven't tested it. But it's worth giving a try on how that works.
Yeah, absolutely.
ECA integration with AI agents, ECA integration with AI features. Yeah. All right. We're towards the end of this session, but I would like to conclude this with a couple of points. Though this is one of the final webinars before the event, Oasis, we will continue doing this webinar series around Drupal AI awareness, but the focus will shift towards more of persona-driven use cases. Like we will look at building more and more use cases using the Drupal AI ecosystem, which ties very closely with real-world use cases, allowing you to imagine, also have conversation with the project stakeholders that you're working with, in order to enhance the current Drupal journey with AI. With that, we're hosting Oasis November 29th and 30th. And I invite all of you to attend the Drupal AI code sprint, which we are hosting there. This is going to be a very focused code sprint focused on building the orchestration layer using FlowDrop as a tool, building features around Canvas AI. Also, a couple of other insightful things. If you're new to Drupal AI ecosystem, it would be very good. It would be a very good place to come over, interact with folks who are already building with Drupal AI and understand how the world is using or leveraging the AI features within Drupal. Moving to the next slide, Akhil. Can you move to the next one?
Yeah.
We have a bunch of AI practitioners who are going to be speaking around different areas of AI, covering the broad spectrum, right from building to be able to evaluate design around AI, security, and what it means to take an AI application to production. Those kind of conversations is what we're going to have at the event. So even if you're someone who's not interested in the code sprint, it would be a valuable thing to as a takeaway. We have the schedule out at the oasis.com/schedule. Feel free to check it out. Moving to the next one, Akhil. For this session, if you have any feedback or the webinar series that we've been conducting, if there are any feedbacks, anything additionally that you would like us to cover, feel free to drop your feedback on the feedback form. We will also be sharing the recording of this webinar along with the feedback form link with you over the email. Um, Feel free to share the message, share the message across your network about Oasis, about the Drupal AI webinar series, because more and more people who join hands, it becomes easier to spread the messaging and get the ecosystem, widen up the ecosystem around Drupal AI. That's all. Thank you all for listening patiently with us, and thank you, Akhil, for sharing the insights. Will the sessions in Oyster 7 be available online? Yes, Deepa, they will be. So we are gonna be con continuing to conduct these sessions. We have your email addresses. We'll be sending the email announcements out about the next webinar in the series. But this will happen only after 29th and 30th because we're going to be busy for the next 2 weeks, uh, aiming at making the OSS event better and better. All right. Thank you all. Have a good evening, everyone.